Every morning the world starts quietly, one soft light at a time. Homes flicker awake, shops open. People take those first small steps into a brand new day. And in all of that ordinary movement, there's something kind of extraordinary. A moment worth noticing, a spark you feel before you even name it. Sometimes it's quiet, sometimes it's small, but kindness shows up right on time. And every morning we choose to show up with you so we can look for that spark together.
Good morning. I'm Matt Rouff, the Uncommon Kindness Guy, and this is Kindness Rising. Let's rise together.
Makes us human. Human. Good morning, everybody. Good morning and welcome. Welcome to Kindness Rising. Today's episode is about something that might be one of the most important ingredients in being human. It's our humor. And interestingly enough, the word humor didn't originally mean jokes. Did you know that? It did not. It actually comes from ancient medicine. Our humors, the humors in our body, blood, phlegm, bile, those things in our body, that's where the word humor came from, right? And if those things were balanced and they were in the right order for us, all of our humors were in the right order, we were known to be in good humor. So actually, humor wasn't something that was to be performed. Humor was your state of being, your balance, your energy, your humanity. And here is where the language gets even more interesting. Let's talk about where human goes the other way. The other way for humans. Music was kind of loud today. Human, humility, humus. Humus? No, we're not talking about ground up chickpeas. We're talking about the earth, grounded, humor, humus. It all means grounded. So on one hand, it means your humor, your state of being. The other is keeping you grounded. But it doesn't just keep us grounded, it also keeps us light. So there's a paradox in our humor, because one of my favorite quotes of all times from Alan Watts, if you guys know who Alan Watts was, but originally written by G.K. Chesterton. Angels fly because they take themselves lightly. That might be one of the greatest leadership lessons ever written, right? Take ourselves a little bit lightly so that we can fly. I'm glad you've chosen to join me here on Kindness. Oh, okay. A little bit of a blast of the music. Good morning, everyone. Roseanne Rouff, Mike Sullivan, Liliana Capitillo. Welcome. I'm glad you've joined me here on Kindness Rising, where today's subject is humor and the lightness that makes us humor. And the way having a sense of humor, meaning the balance of our humors. Now, the ancient Greeks, they thought it was blood, phlegm, yellow bile, and black bile, but no, it is what's inside of us. There's some jokes to be made there about the liquids, whatever, but I am not going to talk about that. I do want to tell you a story, though. I want to tell you a story from my childhood about humor. And Mom, I know you're out there, but you may have heard this story. Maybe Dad told you this story. I don't know that you and I ever discussed this story, but it's a classic for me. It's a classic story with my father. So imagine it is the middle of the 1980s. I'm maybe 13 years old, maybe even a little bit younger. I don't know. But I'm sneaking down at night or finding a way to watch late night comedy TV, Saturday Night Live. There was Comic Strip Live. I remember going down in the basement, being down in the basement and watching these subversive comedians in my basements. Yeah, and certainly not the stuff that the nuns at St. Thomas Aquinas Elementary School were teaching me about or wanting me to watch. Robin Williams in his heyday, Richard Pryor, Steve Martin. These are the guys, the late night comedy. And I'm starting to learn some adult concepts for sure. And I hear a joke. I don't know if I heard it in the street or I heard it on one of these things. And I'm going to repeat the joke. And it is an adult joke, but it will make sense. I got to test this joke on somebody. I'm going to show my father how adult I am. Here is the joke that I'm going to tell my father. My dad, definitely a comedian, knew how to make people laugh, knew about great timing. So in some ways, probably I was trying to emulate him, or I don't remember exactly. But the joke goes like this, as I can picture him sitting there in his leather chair that he came home at night and sat in after work, probably watching MASH or the news or reading the paper or something. And I say to him, "Hey, Dad, did you hear Ronald McDonald got fired today?" He looks up at me and is like, "No, why?" And I deliver the punchline with full confidence: because he got caught with his Big Mac in Wendy's hot and juicy. I'm laughing to myself. I think it's hysterical. I probably didn't even understand it to a certain degree. And my father just looks at me and goes, Matthew, I don't get it. And I wouldn't repeat it either because probably no one else will. And you wouldn't want to sound stupid. What? I was like, huh? I'm bombed. I bombed my first gig. What happened? Fast forward now to many years later. Of course, in between, so many things have happened, but keeping the story moving along, right before my father passed away several years ago, he and I were sharing short stories and bringing up moments together about that. And he told me proactively, do you remember? He remembered. Do you remember telling me the joke about Ronald McDonald and Wendy's? And I'm like, yeah, I actually did. And I'm like, yeah. And he's like, I consider that one of my greatest parenting achievements. Turning that around, not laughing when you told the joke coming out of your mouth, being able to say, nah, I probably wouldn't repeat that if I were you, right, at that age. But instead of making me feel shame about it, although he might say, you might sound stupid, I don't know. Anyway, oh, Mom, you knew the story. I'm glad you know the story. But here's the thing, and here's what I love about that story for me, is we're talking about 40 years later, he still remembered the joke. And for me, that tells me that he probably told that joke over and over and over again to his adult friends and told the story about his kid telling him that joke and the pride that he felt in his achievement. So the lessons that I learned from that: you can have all the great material in the world, but it won't land if the audience isn't ready, if they're not the person they want to hear it from, right? And that lesson applies to in business, leadership, parenting, life. Timing matters. Your audience matters. And also, here's the other thing: a good joke is still a good joke. That's the lessons that I learned from telling my father a rude joke when I was a kid. Anyway, thanks for listening along on that one. This whole episode today of the time that I'm spending with you today, and this idea, this concept of talking about humor and thinking about this, actually, it was a somewhat last minute thrown together because it was triggered by thoughts last night. I was watching the Jason Hewlett show here on mornings. Hey, Melissa, good to see you. I was so great to have you this week. We'll review that in a little bit too. I can't believe it's Friday already. Yes, angels fly lightly, but anyway, I was listening to Jason Hewlett yesterday, and he's a really funny gentleman, and I suggest you check out the Jason Hewlett show on Mornings in the Lab. But he was talking about the subject too, so I want to just give credit where credit was due. That this is like, okay, his show got me thinking. He was talking about humor in different ways as well, and told some great stories as a comedian. So we have a little theme going here, but I want to give credit where credit is due, and that's what we do here on Mornings in the Lab Network. We bring content and material that gets you thinking about things, right? Thinking about things, leading the conversation. Jason led me to thinking about humor. Now I'm leading you in thinking about it. So that's the point of the Mornings in the Lab Network and what we're doing here, getting up and getting after it every day, every weekday, 7:30 a.m. Kindness Rising here on Mornings in the Lab Network, and then right over to the big show, Mornings in the Lab, with Keith, John, and friends. And we've got our friends Jason Hewlett and Cheryl Raphael Whitaker and Brianna Bass and Dr. John Petrocelli and all the other hosts and our producers in the backstage. We are building an amazing platform, the live morning media platform that everyone should know about and be involved with, I believe. Check it out, morningsinthelab.network or mitl.network. We'll drop that. We've got the network link. We've got the full studio behind us now developing shows. We have 2 more shows in the works. Mornings in the Lab Network isn't going anywhere. We are only growing. We're looking for 100 people who want to have a show on the network, that want to lead in the morning where they live, around the world, East Coast, West Coast, North America, South America, wherever. So that's it. So I'm done with my commercial. A little bit. We'll get on to something else. But I did want to talk about that because and I want to talk about the spirit of comedy, and what it means, and what humor means, right? Comedy is amazing. Love comedy. Who doesn't love comedy, right? I mean, all forms of comedy, and actually Jason spent time talking about that, but we don't spend enough time talking about humor. Humor is something deeper. It's that spirit of play. It's that perspective. It's that idea that we don't stop playing because we grow old. We grow old because we stop playing. It's the idea that angels fly because they take themselves lightly. And that's the human part. Literally the physically the same root. Human, humor, humanity. Hummus. I love hummus. I really do. I've been taking a basic roasted garlic hummus like you get in the container. A basic roasted hummus, adding some tahini, adding some olive oil, mixing it up, and then just adding flavor. So you gotta zotz it up, as we say in our family. Zotz it, zotz it, zotz it. So you take the basic and you make it into something a little bit new and a little bit better. That's what we do in our house. We're zotzing. It's part of our humor. It's part of our spirit of play and our perspective. in our world, and I think it helps us to laugh. And sometimes there's fails with it, and sometimes we have tremendous successes. I love to experiment in the kitchen, in particularly. Is that even a word? Particularly? I think I added at least one extra syllable in there. Whatever. Okay. So we're getting a little silly here, winding down on our week. And I've been just thinking also as I was thinking about humor and humanity and the intersection of those words. And, I like to spotlight organizations or things that from my childhood, from Gen X, from those of us who, excuse me, those of us who grew up in the 70s and 80s. I talked a little bit about my joke. Not only did I listen to Richard Pryor and Robin Williams and all that, the other side where there was tremendous amount of humor, sometimes adult humor intersected, definitely parody of adult worlds. We're talking about Jim Henson and the Sesame Workshop, perhaps the most influential media, at least in my childhood, for sure. Because it wasn't just funny, it was kind humor, it was silly, educational. I mean, truly, truly groundbreaking stuff, that intersection of media, of humor, of education, of kindness, and lifting people up. And I have to say, in many ways, the inspiration for Kindness Rising. Yes, semi-homemade, Mom. Thanks. Yes, there's actually a whole movement, right, about semi-homemade. I like to think of semi-homemade definitely now that creativity being lit for me in many ways in your kitchen. So mixing flavors, trying things. What have I got? I got a half onion here. I got a chunk of leftover ham. I got this, that, or the other. And all of a sudden we're eating like champions, like kings. I love that experimental part in the kitchen, finding flavor profiles, having fails. We all have fails, right? We overcooked the rice, we did this, we did that, whatever it might be. But that's the creativity and the fun of cooking. Cooking can be a wonderful creative outlet. We all know that. So and trust me, my mother is a master. So thanks, Mom. And I took a sip out of my white cup that you hate to see go in my face. But thanks for the reminder, Mom, about semi-homemade and all the lessons for sure. 1969. 1969 was when Sesame Street and Jim Henson, Sesame Street Workshop emerged using telephones. Telephones too. Hello, hello. What was that? What was the Sesame? Yep. The telephone game. Yep. Bring. Yep. Bring. Television, the most powerful storytelling medium in the world, was helping children to learn. Yes, it was. It helped children to learn, but they didn't just hire educators. They brought in storytellers. They brought in puppet masters. Absolutely. It was the absolute blend of creativity, a creative mind like Jim Henson's, the puppets, the storytelling, and sometimes humor can deliver truth better than seriousness can, right? Absolutely. That's something that they taught us. Big Bird, Cookie Monster, Bert and Ernie, Grover. The characters were silly. They made mistakes. They got confused. They asked a lot of questions. They encouraged kids to be curious and creative and find balance. And through that humor and that connection with those kids, something powerful was learned. Life doesn't have to be rigid. It can be playful. It can be joyful. It can be light, and you can fly because of that. And that's what I love about Jim Henson Studios, that creative workshop, that whole idea that still lives today in storytelling all over the Muppets. Obviously, all of the Sesame Workshop, Sesame Workshop shows and programs, live programs, absolutely. Showing that will live forever, regardless of the medium, regardless of whether it's streaming, live on stage, on television, the radio, newspaper, print, digital media. Those are just the vehicles. Those are the vehicles for the humor and the heart. And that's where Kindness Rising is evolving to and coming from, that place where the magic happens, right here on Mornings in the Lab Network. Thanks for joining me. Absolutely. Yeah. All right. So, of course, we're going to connect. We're going to connect the 6 strings of humor. Mr. Rogers and the Muppets, Melissa Pearson over there on LinkedIn. Melissa Pearson was a guest of mine this week. We had a wonderful, wonderful conversation all about her work in helping people to grow, to identify ways to stay strong and balanced, right? Particularly women in construction. I think it's a wonderful, wonderful lesson that Melissa has out there. If you know Melissa Pearson Goodwin on LinkedIn or out in the world, thanks, Melissa, for joining us. I still owe you clips. I do. I've been trying, but I promise they're in the works. They are. Just to figure out how to get them to you the best way. We'll work on it, though. Welcome, Jess. Jess, you're back. I remember you, Jess, of the WWWLI 20. Tell me what's your name all about. You've been around, and you've got kitties, too. We like cats and where we are. Thanks, Jess, for coming back and for subscribing. If you're out there on LinkedIn, on YouTube, like and subscribe to the channel and check out the Mornings in the Lab channel as well. All right. So I am going to try to put on some music. I'm feeling the need for some tunes. Let's try this one. These are the songs that I came up with, the vibe that I created. I love that little pause in the lead in with that guitar. Suno. Suno is an AI tool that I use to create music with. A lot of people out there having conversation, of course, with me and with others about the use of AI tools and for creativity, and it's not going anywhere. It's not going anywhere. And this song still came from my mind. I just used the AI tool known as Suno to help me get there faster and cheaper, frankly. Okay. Fundamental attribution errors. Wow. You're taking it to a whole nother level. Yes. Women's Weeding League. A gardening club? Interesting. Gardening wink wink? Weeding League? Are we winking here, Jess, or are we really on the gardening? Whatever it might be. Studying fundamental attribution errors. You might have to educate me a little on that one, Jess, of the Women's Weeding League. Remind me again, Jess, where you're coming from. Anyway, 6 strings. We're winking and gardening. Got it. All right. Kindness, the best humor. The best humor invites people, and we're connecting our humor back to the 6 strings as we wind up. I've been saying wind down, but now I'm saying I'm going to wind up to the Mornings in the Lab with Keith, John, and friends on the Mornings in the Lab Network. How's the music? Is it too loud? I'm still trying to find the right levels for my audio. Standing back from my mic a little bit to bring it way in here, but I don't know. I accept feedback on all these things because I want to make it good for you too. Yeah. All right. Claiming a person's inner disposition instead of situations or circumstances. Nice. Oh, that's right. Kentucky. You reminded me you're in Kentucky. Thank you again, Jess. I appreciate it. Fundamental attribution errors. I'm going to spend some time on that one. But let's get back to the six strings of humor. Kindness. Remember, kindness is one of our strings, and that's the kindness to invite people in, not to punch down, not to humiliate, but to lift people up. Think about Sesame Street. The humor was, some of the characters were self-deprecating, but it was playful, gentle, and kind, and that's why it worked. You got balance. Humor restores balance when life gets heavy. Part of the reason I wanted to do this, right, is we have all this stuff coming at us all day long. The news, the world, life, our own stresses, deadlines, responsibilities. About a half an hour to let your nervous system reset, even to start the day. Start chill and work our way up. Because the ancient Greeks weren't completely wrong. We do want to balance our humors for sure. And how about curiosity? So much unexpected. That's what comedy is comedy is the setup is this, you're thinking one thing, and then the punchline is the twist, right? Something surprising, something curious, a moment where your brain goes, wait, what? That's the twist, is where the laughter lives, and that's curiosity. How about action? Action is taking leadership in the room and turning it on yourself, breaking the tension, laughing at yourself first through courage, through action, by standing up and saying the thing. Self-awareness, of course, the ability to laugh at yourself is self-awareness. Ego, your ego, it hates your humor. It wants to keep you here. Humor loosens that ego's grip, and it reminds us that we're all human. And growth, if you can laugh about something today that hurt you yesterday, that's growth. That's the way that the six strings connect to our conversation about people today. And we'll fade to the music. All right, learning how to fade music. That's fun. All right. I appreciate you, Jess. Yes, priming our minds for positivity for sure. All right. Well, I can't believe it. We got through another week. We got through it. We get through it. I can't believe I have to wait till Monday for another chance to bring you Kindness Rising right here on the Mornings in the Lab Network. Don't forget to get over to Mornings in the Lab with Keith, John, and friends. Don't forget to check out the Mornings in the Lab Network channel. Watch us there. We're only growing, and absolutely. So kindness. I hope you carry it with you. I hope you carry it with you every day. Kindness, the ability to laugh at yourself, to say, I'm going to fly today because I am taking myself lightly. Don't take your work too seriously, but do take care of yourself. Until Monday morning, stay uncommon and stay kind. What if your mornings could be inspiring and ridiculously fun?
Kindness Rising isn't just a show, it's a full wake-up vibe.
It's freaking fun, people.
Yeah, man, it's got real get-after-it energy.
I love it.
Wake up with Kindness Rising.
I help purpose-driven people grow their impact. 5-ingredient recipe to help you build your personal brand. Get out there and take kind action.
If it's live, they'll feel it.
On Kindness Rising, we bring you proven strategies and fresh ideas you can actually use. If you're not failing, you're not trying.
Exactly. Fail fast, rebound faster.
You'll see the bloopers and the genuine connections that make kindness contagious. We sometimes get into a little bit of trouble.
Pretty much my life made the list.
You can trust what you see right here is honest, respectful, and uplifting. Social impact organizations, and we always talk about them. Try kindness. It's way cheaper than therapy. You just made my day.